talking about the power of boundaries, building healthy relationships, and boosting your productivity as well. So why are boundaries important? I think that's one major question we need to ask ourselves. Why do we even need to set boundaries? So it's like you're living in a house without a wall. How comfortable are you going to feel? So that's a good analogy to use when it comes to boundary. So you're in your room, there's no wall. Can you literally call it your room? Because everyone passing by can see what's in there. So there's no form of privacy. You don't have your me time or anything of such. So when it comes to boundaries, what you're doing initially is actually protecting your well-being, and this will help enhance both your personal and professional life. So without boundary setting, most of the time we find ourselves in this situation where we're overwhelmed. Sometimes we are overcommitted. Sometimes we even build resentment just because we're not setting healthy boundaries. And most of the analogy we ladies use most of the time is, I just want peace. Yeah. But the question is, are you really getting that peace? So you're not setting boundaries because you just want peace. Oh, I don't want problem, I just want peace. But are you necessarily getting that peace by letting people trample on you, trample on your personal space without any form of boundaries at all? So boundaries help you to empower and prioritize your needs. It also fosters healthy relationships. I say something, if you really matter to someone, when you set boundaries, they'll respect your boundaries. And the good thing about boundaries is that if you're consistent, even people around you will start maintaining that boundaries with you. So a good example is, let's say I don't like when anyone call me at 10 p.m. So what happened is, if I'm consistent with that, it gets to a stage where I'm not even the one telling people, but the people around me goes, oh, don't call her after past 10. She's not going to pick. She doesn't like to be called at that time. So that's what boundary does. You get to that stage where when you are consistent, people around you even help you to set that boundaries in your absence. Yeah. So we have different types of boundaries. So it could be respecting your personal space. It could be when it comes to handling sensitive topics with care. That has to do with your emotional boundary. It could be time blocking off. Like, for example, maybe at work, you want them to see you as, oh, the star of the day. Oh, that person will always get everything on. So sometimes people might want to trample on your boundaries because you don't even have one to start with. So on a weekend, on a Saturday, they just send you stuff and expect you to get on with it because you don't have that respect for your own time, let alone passing that information across for them to say, oh, okay, let's respect our boundaries. She doesn't pick calls, anything that has to do with work, she doesn't do it on a Saturday. So we have intellectual boundaries as well, which has to do with respecting different opinions. That's why you see people in a situation where they can argue for 4 or 5 hours and then they feel drained at the end of it because they just want to pass that message. They just want to, they have this blocked mindset that, okay, it's either my way or the highway. It's quite draining. So having an intellectual boundaries in place can also help. Maybe you're sure that your point is the best at that moment. You might want to have that open mind to say, okay, maybe what this person is trying to say also makes sense, even if it doesn't make sense to me. So there's a saying that we see things the way we are, not the way they are. So let me repeat that. We see things the way we are, not the way they are. So for example, if a scenario comes up, so there's a cup of water, we have the water is, let's say, in the middle. If you put it on the table and ask everyone, can you explain what you see? Someone can tell you, oh, I can see a cup. Another person can tell you, oh, it's a cup of water. Someone can say, oh, the cup is half full. Another person can say, the cup is half empty. You see, they are still talking about the same thing, but in different ways. Why? Because they are seeing it from who they are, from their own point of view. So that's why most of the time when we are having arguments or we are not having that intellectual boundaries in place, we have to really think and bring up our self-awareness. I know those who already have been attending this session will know I can't stop talking about self-awareness. Yes, because it goes a long way. Without self-awareness, you wouldn't even know if you have boundaries in place. And if you do, you won't know which boundaries you have in place. So self-awareness is always very important. So most of the time we see things from the perspective of who we are, our beliefs, our values. So we can respect other people's opinion. Sometimes it's even good for our mental health. You find yourself in a situation where someone insisted water is not colorless, it's yellow. And then you go, oh, I know water is not yellow as far as I'm concerned, but maybe if you can prove your point, or maybe there's a reason why you're saying that. So that open mind will help, rather than say, no way, water is colorless. There's nothing you said that's making sense to me right now. If it's not making sense to you, there are diplomatic way of handling that, whereby at the end of the conversation, you don't feel drained. Yeah. So another type of boundary has to do with material. It could be lending or borrowing responsibly. And here I'm going to bring an example of being nice and being kind. Yeah. So most of the time, when you're nice to someone, you're literally maybe doing something at your own detriment. That's why you have an expectation. But when you do something from a kind perspective, you're just doing it from your own kind heart. You won't even notice if the person said thank you or not. You won't notice how many times they call you to say thank you, because that's not your priority. That's not your aim at that time. You just want to do it. So let's say you needed me to borrow you some money. I want to be a nice person. Yeah. I don't want to say no to you. Maybe I only have £1,100 with me, and then I lend you £1,000. What I'm doing there, I'm being nice, because what I'm doing is not logical. Yeah. Because I will only be having 100 cubes with me, and that might not be enough for me. So now I'm focusing on how much your time can me. Can you imagine? I have only 1,100. I lend her £1,000, and she only called to say thank you once, just once, after all the sacrifices. Do you see what's happening? So you are getting drained. Yeah. So now you are bitter. You're having that resentment, or maybe they even said thank you, and then you're like, oh, she only said thank you twice, just twice. That's because you were doing it from a place of being nice, from not, I call it not 100% genuine. But when you're doing it from a place of kindness, logically, you won't even lend 1,000, because maybe if you had 1,100, you have other plans for the money. You can say, okay, you know what? I know you needed £1,000 at the moment, but I can only do 500. Yeah. And when you're done using it, you can always give me my money back, and then you keep it moving. You're at peace. You have the money for other things. You're not like thinking, oh, how many times did she say thank you? Oh, she didn't even send me a message to say thank you, because you're doing it from a place of kindness, from a place of letting go. Like, okay, now I've borrowed out the £500. Yeah, so whenever she's ready, she give it back to me. So sometimes when we do things, it could be lending or borrowing, and we're feeling uneasy. It might be because we're coming from a place of being nice, which sometimes is doing things at our own detriment, rather than doing it from a place of kindness. That way, when you do things from a place of kindness, you let it go. You just let it go. Just like, okay, I've done this, good deeds, keep it moving. Yeah, you don't have that unrealistic expectation in return. So what are the importance of setting boundaries? So it helps protect our mental health, which is extremely important. Without our mental health being intact, it's going to have an effect on every aspect of our life, literally every aspect. You can prove me wrong on this call. I'm open to opposing ideas. If you think if your mental health is messed up, you can still 100% do things in every area, I'm open to the opinions. So protect our mental health and our emotional health. So when we set healthy boundaries, we protect that. It also prevents us from overcommitment and emotional exhaustion, and this happens especially at work, where if you are just the yes boss kind of person. Oh, I need this document by 4 p.m. tomorrow. Yes, boss. Oh, I need you to do this. Yes, boss. Or you struggle to say no to people. You're just saying yes, and then you are drowning. You are drowning in the overcommitment situation where you struggle to say no. You don't want to say, oh, sorry. You know what? Because there are ways you can set boundaries without being in anyone's bad book. I know most of the time people don't set boundaries because they want to be liked. And I said something, if everyone likes you, there's a problem. Yeah, that's one. If everyone likes you. As interesting as chocolate is, even though it's so yummy and nice, not everyone likes chocolates. Yeah. So if everyone likes you, there's a problem. So learn to say no, but in a way where it's not offensive. Oh, I needed to get this done by 4 p.m. Oh, sorry, I have other commitments right now. Yeah, I'll definitely have a look at it, but I don't think I'll be able to give you back at 4 p.m. What about we do tomorrow? I expect a sensible person to say, oh, okay, I understand what you're saying. Yeah, tomorrow. But if they can, they'll take it off you and give it to someone else. They can do it. And one of the things I've noticed as in the corporate world is that the yes boss people don't really get promoted. People will get promoted most of the time are those who know how to delegate things. Those who know how to delegate. So you need to know how to balance things out. Otherwise, they just see you as doormat. So whatever, she takes it. Yeah. So we ladies, we don't want to be that kind of person. I don't want anyone on this call to be that kind of person. So another important reason why it's essential for us to set healthy boundaries, it's that it helps us to prioritize our time and energy, and that way it boosts productivity. So I always say something, the farther you're busy does not mean you're productive. Yeah. So if you're doing two things and you're doing them well and you're able to deliver, it's better than doing 100 things and you're not delivering on anything at all. So you can be so busy and still you're not being productive, but you're stressed out, you're overcommitted, you're exhausted, but then there's no result to show for it. So setting healthy boundaries help us to prioritize our time. That way we can manage our tasks effectively. I know when we talked about time management 3 months ago, I talked about the Pomodoro techniques, which helps us to set things and be productive without us messing with our mental health in any way. So another thing boundary settings help is it helps with mutual respect. It also builds trust in relationships. So when people already know, okay, this is you, this is who you are consistent in this area, automatically they just do the same alongside with you. So for example, maybe at your place of work, they know when it's 2 p.m., nothing is stopping Zara. She's going for her prayers. I can tell you for a fact, even an atheist at your place of work will respect that. You get to a stage where they even be the one to remind you, oh, Zara, it's 2 p.m. Are you not praying today? So that's what boundary setting does, because they know you don't joke with that time. So they start becoming conscious, unplanned. They are not planning to be that way, but it just happens because you are very consistent with what you're doing. You've been able to build that mutual respect. Now they respect your time, they respect your space, or whatever it is you're setting boundaries on. And they will even be the one to enforce it sometimes when you forget. And then they go, oh, Zara, it's 2 p.m. You're still seated. Are you not going for your prayer, or what is that thing you do at 2 p.m. again? So that's what it does. And that affects every aspect of our life as well, not just our work, even in family, around your family, friends. They go, oh, this is the thing about Zara, so everyone just respect that. Yeah. So these are the signs you need to set better boundaries. Probably you think you're setting boundaries at the moment, but if you're able to tick any of these boxes, it means you need to set better boundaries. So feeling overwhelmed and overcommitment, you're always stressed out, you're overwhelmed most of the time, you're overcommitted to things, struggling to say no. You find it so hard to say no to people because you want to be nice, yeah? Or you just, the popular saying, I just want peace, I don't want problems. So when you struggle to say no most of the time, it comes back to you. I'd say sometimes just boomerang, it comes back to you. So you start building resentment in relationship. Like the example I gave you of the 1,100 pounds. So there's resentment. So one of the things you have to do, analyze and reflect. Why am I feeling resentful towards this person? Then you realize probably you have one of those attributes of being that nice girl, and then you're doing things you're not supposed to do. You're overcommitting. You try to pour from an empty cup. Yeah, you don't know how to say no. Another thing is when you find yourself neglecting your own needs, that means you need to set better boundaries. You're probably not setting the right boundaries at the moment. So this is not all, but this most of the time is like an umbrella to every other things. Yeah. So moving forward, yeah, we have practical steps to setting boundaries. The first thing is reflect, and that takes me to self-awareness. So you need to be self-aware. That way you can reflect and identify where boundaries are needed. So what's the problem? What is it am I not getting right? Why am I resentful? Why am I stressed all the time? Why am I angry all the time? So, or why is this person always in my space? Could it be that you're not explaining your boundaries very well? And this takes me to saying, when you set boundaries, make sure it's clear. So don't do it from a place of aggression. Stop coming to my room. Right? You're not setting boundaries. You're just acting angry. You're being aggressive. But that's what the person is saying. The other person at the end of the room is saying, oh, look, she's angry again. So that's what they're saying. So when you want to set the boundaries, I really appreciate anytime you want to come into my room, you knock, because when you just come in, it disrupts whatever it is I'm doing. And I do not appreciate that. So there are nice ways to tell people your boundaries without being aggressive about it. And if you see that they repeated it, from a place of calm, repeat yourself, stand your ground without being aggressive. Like I mentioned earlier, I would really appreciate if you knock the door before you come to my room, because whenever you come in unannounced, it disrupts what I'm doing. Yeah. So over time, they'll go, oh, okay. They might even give you a nickname. Oh, madam, don't go to our room without knocking. Well, that's none of your business. Your own main business is the fact that they're respecting your boundaries. Yeah. So when you communicate clearly, you use simple and honest phrases to communicate what your boundaries are, then people respect that. So like I said, don't come of aggressive. Most of the time when people want to set boundaries, they think they have to be all aggressive and all. No, at that time you're not setting boundaries, because what they're saying is just an angry lady or an angry person. So what they're getting is your energy, not your message. So there's a difference between the two. So what energy are you putting in place while you're communicating your boundaries? So be consistent. I can't overemphasize this. Be consistent. I've seen a situation where a lad, so at work, he said, oh, when it's 5 p.m., don't send me an email, right? And everyone already knows this, not to send this person an email from 5 p.m. The same person come up and go, well, you know what? You can send me tomorrow. Yeah, you can send me an email 5 p.m. tomorrow. That's okay. And then another time they go, don't send me an email after 5 p.m. What do you think is going on with this person, Zara? Okay. What do you think is happening with him?
I think he's not being consistent.
Exactly. So now it's difficult. Yeah, it's difficult to know if to send him an email or not. So when you set boundaries, you don't want to confuse people.
Yeah, because he said initially that don't send by 5 p.m. and then he said send tomorrow at 5 p.m. So he's basically contradicting in his own statement.
Exactly. That's exactly what he did. Thank you, Zara, for that. So yeah, so it's good to be consistent at all times. So that way there will be mutual respect from both parties or all the parties involved. So saying no without feeling guilty as well is also another practical step to setting boundaries. So you can decline things politely but firmly. Like I said earlier, I do not appreciate if you come to my room unannounced. So I'm being polite and I'm being firm. I wasn't aggressive. Being aggressive, get out of my room now. I told you never ever come to my room unannounced. At that moment, I can tell you for a fact, as a personal and professional development coach, you're not passing any message across. You're just passing across a certain energy, which most people will tag aggressive. So they're getting your energy like, ooh, okay, calm down. If the person also lacks emotional regulation, they're going to join in, and that's how the argument starts, and you see two people shouting at one another. Yeah. So when you communicate your boundary, make sure you say it in a polite way and in a firm way, and prepare for pushback. I always tell people, when you start setting boundaries, especially if you're someone, you are the nice lady. Yeah. When you start operating from a place of kindness, oh, you're going to struggle with friends, families. There's going to be loads of pushback because they are used to that part of you that does not have boundaries. They are used to that part of you that stays in a room without windows or walls. Yeah. So once you start setting healthy boundaries, people start pushing back. But like I said, most of the time, people that really care about us, they eventually go, oh, okay, fine. I know. I don't want to speak on Zara's name because she's the one I can see on my camera. So that's the name keeps coming. I know normally Zara wouldn't mind this, but it looks like she doesn't want this anymore. Okay, fine. We're going to respect that. Next time we knock before coming to your room. Apologies. So that's what happened. And then you have to be consistent. So be prepared for that pushback. And then you stay firm.
Here.
Yes, please.
In terms of my own personal experience, you're right that you have to be prepared for pushback. And it has happened with me as well. So personally, to be honest. So I'm actually enjoying the topic today, which you're teaching. It's pretty relatable. But I just wanted to ask you, in terms of your own experience, does the pushback continues for a long time, or people do realize at a certain point that no, I mean, they want to set the boundary and it has to be, is it like for a short run or does it go for a long run time? What can you say in terms of your own experience?
So I say, if you're dealing with people that are so used to seeing you like a doormat or someone that takes anything, it might take a while. And then that will take you back to from the beginning of these steps. So the first thing you want to do, reflect. Why do you think they keep pushing back? Is it that you're not communicating consistently, or you're not communicating from a place of being honest or simple? Are you being aggressive with your approach? Another thing which push back most of the time is because there's lack of consistency. So on Monday, you set the boundary, and on Tuesday, you go, it's fine, I just want peace. Then on Wednesday, you are resentful, and then you start setting the boundaries again. And then on Thursday, you go back. So one thing about boundaries is that if you're not consistent, people will keep pushing. And some people are just that way. They just keep pushing your button and see when you're going to lose it or when you're going to get angry. But if you remain polite and firm, you'll be able to achieve whatever it is you want. So just stay firm and respectful. Be consistent. You're going to achieve it no matter how long they're pushing back for.
Yeah, and
they're gonna
secondly, I
give
think
up.
it takes them a while to digest that thing because they are used to of you basically.
Exactly. They are used to that version of you that doesn't set boundaries, or that version of you that just go, okay, whatever, anything you want. Yes, 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 boss. So a yes, boss person that starts saying no all of a sudden. You don't expect your boss to start saying, oh, I'll start respecting your boundaries. No, your boss will push. There's going to be a pushback to say, oh, okay. When they push the first time, second, third time, then they start thinking, oh, okay, I think I have to start respecting our boundaries and things like that. So they will have their own moment of reflection. Or Zara, let me prepare your mind. Another thing that can happen with people like this who hate change so much is that they might stay very far away from you. If they just, because sometimes as a lady or as a human generally, we have people around us that they are there because we lack boundaries. So the moment we start setting healthy boundaries, they might not be in our circle again.
They may start to distance themselves as well.
Exactly. So they will go away, and that's because they're not good for us.
I mean, so you mean in terms of their reaction, right? They would also distance themselves.
Yeah, sometimes they do. So let me pick a random.
If someone who cares about you would understand it.
Exactly. That's the thing. Someone who really cares about you would. So a good example is, let me say, every morning you make breakfast. There's this person at your table who always comes to your house to eat breakfast. Yeah? And then you decided, okay, no more breakfast. I want to start using my breakfast as family time. So I'm setting boundaries. I'm restricting it to just me and my family time. So maybe this person comes the first time. You feel they always come around because they enjoy your company, but their main aim in your life is to come eat breakfast. I'm just using a random example, yeah? So it can apply to any aspect of our lives. So their main aim in your life is actually to come eat breakfast, but you are not aware of that. You just think they're a good friend and they like to be around your family. So they came the first time, you guys were eating breakfast and you didn't tell them to join in. The second visit, you're eating breakfast, they didn't join in. They might want to go, oh, okay, is everything okay? I noticed you stopped giving me breakfast. And then you explain to them clearly that, oh, now I've made the decision that breakfast is just family time, blah, blah, blah. And they might be like, oh, okay, that's fine. Anytime you guys are having your breakfast, I'll just sit in and watch. When you're done, you join in. Then you know they are there for probably other reasons, yeah? But then if their excuse is, oh, then they go, oh, who cares? I only come here for breakfast anyways. Now she stopped giving breakfast. I'm just going to stay away. So someone like that will keep pushing to see if you're going to budge and keep giving them breakfast. But if you don't, they're going to stay away from your life. So I use that random example just to tell you how boundary setting can apply in various aspects of our lives, relationships, family, friends, at work, anywhere at all. So people that are actually in your life for the positivity most of the time stays. But if they are getting more of an advantage from your lack of boundary, from that yes kind of personality, the moment you start saying no, don't expect them to be around you anymore, because they are not used to that healthy version of you. They are used to that chaotic or always feeling sad, or they find it easy to guilt trip you, because that's what happens with people that struggle to say no. When they know you struggle to say no, they will guilt trip you to make sure you are able to do their demands. And because you can't say no, so you do it until when you stay firm and start saying no, and then they go, oh, I'm not getting anything from her anymore. You know what, I'm just gonna move on to the next victim or next person who would say yes to me. Yeah? That makes sense. You're welcome. Anyone willing to say anything so far before I move on to our practical aspects? Oh, someone is asking me for the link. Sorry guys, 1 second. Any input so far before I continue? Wait, ladies, I hope you guys are not sleeping on me. Is it only Zara that is awake? Please signify if you're still awake.
We're awake.
I'm awake. Oh.
I'm awake.
Okay. I guess the others that didn't respond, they're still sleeping on the bicycle, is it? Okay. So when it comes to boundaries in personal relationship, I used to call the RAF, the 3 things that needs to be involved. The respecting the needs. So balance your needs with others. Yeah. And one good thing I've noticed about setting healthy boundaries is that you just be at peace. And most of the time when you operate from a place of calm. And then it increases it opens your mind towards kindness even more. So most of the time you operate from a place of being kind rather than from a place of being nice. So it also helps you to avoid toxic environments. So that way you recognize unhealthy dynamics almost immediately. It also helps to foster trust, because when you communicate honestly, it helps to build stronger relationship. And trust in the sense that, again, Zara already knows, oh, Adija doesn't like this thing, so she doesn't even bother doing it, right? Because now we have that mutual understanding that, okay, this is how this person is, or this is how Layo is, or Nifemi is, or, oh, Georgina doesn't like when you throw this at her, so she just stay back. Yeah, so it helps to foster trust, it helps to avoid toxicity, and it also helps to, when it comes to respect, you get to balance your needs with that of others. So when it comes to boundaries in professional life, so the one I mentioned earlier has to do with personal relationships. And when I say personal relationship, I'm not only talking about what's it called, romantic relationships. I'm talking about any types of relationship at all, including romantic relationships. Yeah, so boundaries in personal life, what it does is, okay, so setting boundaries in personal life, what it does is it helps to delegate tasks, so you can share responsibility effectively. Like I said, most of the time, the yes boss people don't really get promoted. It's those that are very strategic in what they're doing. Those are the ones who get the promotions. So when you have healthy boundaries in place, you get to delegate tasks responsibly. That way you do it more effectively. You can set work hours. That means you define your availability clearly. You can also avoid overcommitments, taking on tasks that is just within your capacity. And one thing about setting boundaries, aside from your self-awareness, is you need to be a clear communicator. You need to be very clear. So understand that sometimes when we say go, people hear different things. When you say go, some hear leave right now, some hear get out, some hear okay, it's time. Yeah, even though all you said is go, because I'm just saying go. What does that even mean? Is that clear? That's just the word. So I'm not saying anything. I'm not communicating. So to set healthy boundaries, it helps to communicate clearly. That way people understand what you're doing. And then that way you can stay on business and maintain your steez. Like the Gen Z would say, you maintain your steez, yeah? And stand on business. So now is your time, because now I need to stop talking. It's your time, ladies. Wake up, wake up. So we're going to have an interactive activity. Yeah? So you're going to identify one area of life where boundaries are needed. You write it down. Then write down 2 actions you would take to set those boundaries, and then share your plan. So I would appreciate if you can come on and then talk about it. But if you feel you're in a place where you can't talk at the moment, please, you can write the answers in the chat box, and then I'm going to read it out. So I'll copy and paste this question in the chat box as well. You can take a screenshot now before I take it off, because now I'm coming back on camera. I'll take off the slides. Are we ready, ladies? Give me a thumbs up. Let me know you're still here with me. Good, good. Keep it coming.